Look at that intercooler. Seems so small, and you can tell right across here, that line where this crappy plasticky splitter has been sitting. This thing sucks, but I guess it's okay for the turbo that's on here. So let's take this off. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off these two 10mm bolts that go across here, and this one you're going to have to need something short. I have been using these little universal joint things here so I can like get around corners so I don't have to worry about stuff in the way. Got these off Amazon, and so far I like them. They work. Now if you're thinking of upgrading your intercooler, pretty much anything Subaru wise will fit in here. I said almost anything. For the Forester, these things are a little bit wider than the other ones, like the WRX. The STI, you can get one of these, they're a little bit thicker. Pretty much any STI version on the Forester is going to be a little bit better than what's on here. I got mine off of a 2018 STI, so it works. The only difference is it's actually even longer than this one, and this bolt is not going to be able to bolt into anything. So yeah, it is what it is. And also a little note, I'm keeping the two bolts here and hopefully they fit, but just a side note, if you guys are doing this, this metal rail here actually changes throughout the years. So I believe this is the same with the WRX and STI up to like 2008. Once 2008 model, the wagon came in, I think they changed it, and then they changed it again for like 2012. So if you do get an aftermarket intercooler from, you know, wherever, make sure that this is gonna bolt on. For mine, I got the same one that came with the STI, the 2018 that I got mine from, because they changed theirs in 2017. So technically, you can plumb this up and it'll be totally fine, but you're not gonna have the same mounting points. For this intercooler, they go straight in like this. For the one that I have, they actually have brackets that come out and go straight down. So yes, this can still work, it's just a pipe, but it's not gonna be able to be mounted on. That's why I made sure I got mine from the new one. So after I took this off, I wanted to show you guys, there's a reason why Subarus really need catch cans or air oil separators, which is I'm going to install in another video. But if you look inside here, now it's kind of hard to see, but there is just sludge that is gunked up inside there because it sits like this. So it's just a layer of oily sludge, I'm guessing is just along the whole bottom side of this. And that is just nasty. Yeah, take a look at that. That is the sludge I was just showing you. All I did was just scrape the inside. That's just the tip that's just sitting there right before the hose that goes into your Subaru's engine. You don't want that. Once those two screws are out, you can just pop the hoses, the three hoses off of there. Those are off, easy peasy. Next up, we're going to take out the two bolts on either side. These guys are going to be 12mm. After both of those bolts are out, we can head over here to the throttle body that connects into it. Got to take these alligator clips off on both sides. Something I didn't see to make this a whole lot easier is this bracket right here. It's got two 10mm bolts, and if we take it out, that's what the right side actually screws into. It's just a big bracket to have something for the intercooler to screw in onto the right side. So if we take that out, it's going to be a whole lot easier to maneuver this to get it out of here. So the last thing you need to do to really make this as easy as possible getting it out is either remove the hose for your bypass valve, or you can remove the little nuts that go on either side. The only difficult part of that is actually getting down here onto that last one. If you're able to get to that one, then this thing will pop out and it's super easy. If not, then you're gonna have to take the hose off, which can be kind of a pain in the butt. to actually get this whole thing off. But once you get that out, that's off to the side. Then the only thing you have to worry about is the clamp down here. Just make sure that's loose, and that's the only thing holding this in. So this is just going to come out to get out of here, and then right to get it out of there. Once all that stuff is off, come to this side, grab on the whole hose and pull it towards you. It'll pop out, and same thing with the pipe right down there. I just got it off. Just have to grab the whole intercooler and pull it towards you. Now that all of that stuff is off, this whole thing can come out. Oh, look at that shadow. There it is. Look at all that. Look at all this room for activities. Anyway, once you have that out, if you're getting a bigger intercooler, these AC lines running through here, because that new one's gonna be bigger, it's gonna be pushed back further. So, the main one we have to worry about is this one. Now these are pretty durable in terms of being able to bend them back just a little bit. Nothing major, just to get these out of the way to give yourself a little bit more room. And once you're done with that, make sure you put some hose on here because it's going to be rubbing. Not like, you don't need anything super special like high heat resistance or anything, but hose on here for rubbing because that new intercooler is going to be right there, and you don't want that rubbing a hole in these AC lines because the stuff in here you don't want out here. And next thing I'm going to do, oh god, oh, it already looks bad from here. If you have idle issues, do this. That's right, the throttle body. Since I've already have this stuff out, throttle body is coming out and it's going to be cleaned because it definitely needs to be cleaned because I showed you that oil buildup in there, and this is where it all goes. You can already kind of see in there it looks not good. So, good thing I'm doing this. Let's get this guy out. Okay, so pretty much scratch taking this out because with all the coolant lines and stuff, it's going to be a pain in the butt. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, if you actually move this up, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's actually not that bad. It is decently clean. It does need a little bit of cleaning around the edge there. And then once it opens up, everything on the inside actually looks decently clean. So I'm just gonna grab a toothbrush and some throttle body cleaner and scrub this out a little bit, let it dry, wipe it up with a rag, and I should be a-okay. Okay, now that the intercooler is out of the way, the throttle body is nice and clean. A little bit dirtier than I thought it was up top where I couldn't see it, but doesn't matter, it's clean, didn't have to take it out. And next up, moving over here, this is where your turbo is. This is the inlet to the turbo. Just to make things easier, I'm gonna take this bracket out of the way. This is the left side where it screws in for your intercooler. 12 millimeter and 12 millimeter bolt, take that out, and it kind of makes it a little bit easier to work on that over there. So next up, this big old boy, this is from a 2018 STI. This is gonna go in, and when you get one of these, compared to the Forester, the blow-off valve or the bypass valve is different. You can see it's got a hose that goes off in a 90 degree this way, whereas the stock one went down this way to plug into here. So the best thing to do is to get, well, you have to get one of these that fits on here, but the hose that comes along with it. So this shape hose will go basically where it's going to replace this one. It's going to go down here underneath, just like this old one, and then it's going to attach right down here where the old one was. So in my case, I just have to take this hose out, the one that runs along here, completely take that out and replace it with this hose. Once that's done, I'm gonna have to move and bend these AC lines back a little bit before I put the hose on them, because if I grab this intercooler and I put it up here, that's the first thing that hits, is right there. I mean, technically it would fit in, but rubbing and vibrations and stuff, you don't want those. So I'm gonna push those back a little bit and take that hose out. So to get the hose off here, obviously this clamp has to come off to attach it from the intercooler. But you take a look around. You don't necessarily need to take this hose clamp off, but it is attached up here. So you got to take that bolt out, and you might need to take the hose out to get to it, but you can get there with a wrench. Then following it through, you can take that hose clamp off like I have already done, and the last one is right there. Okay, another poopy face for me. I've got everything off. All of the rubber hoses, as you can see, everything is off except for this metal pipe. There is a bolt hole here, and there is another bracket, and there's another hole below the throttle body that you can't get to unless you remove the throttle body. Now that's pretty easy because you don't have to really remove any of the lines, just the throttle body itself, but I don't have the gasket, and I'm never gonna use this again, so I'm probably just going to wiggle it and snap it off because America. So bending did not go as planned. The thing does not want to break. It's very thick. So I had to take the throttle body off. It's very easy. 4 screws. You can see there's one there. There's one that goes right underneath the position sensor. There's one there and there. It's a square. And then it just pulls out just like that. You can see the 4 holes there. And if you want to, you can do a little more cleaning. I'll just wipe away that carbon. And you probably can't see it, but right down there, it's right there. That's where the bolt is. After a very long time and praying and hoping and crying and punching a few things, you can get that thing on with the hose clamp, and it's routed around here to your bypass valve. Now we get to put the intercooler in. Now the intercooler, like I said, I've got these bent back. See how much closer they are? It's pretty much as far as I could get them back bent wise. So I do need to put some hose on there, but I mean, I just pop this down. I do need to put those brackets back on, at least the right one, because I know that it has to have the right one. And the left one, I don't think so, because I don't believe it's going to actually screw into the left. All right, here I have the new intercooler kind of mocked up. It's not exactly in place, but I just wanted to show you guys over here. I've got the bracket installed. It's right there, so I just need to scoot it forward a little bit and that'll be in place. But the bracket over here, as you can see, is not there. That little lip right over here, right down there, that's where that's at. So really there's no use in having that bracket at all. It needs to be about that much longer to actually reach out and hit that one. So I'm just gonna take this off and remove that bracket altogether, just so it's not smashing any of the fins underneath. So I mean, really there's no reason to have that. It's not supporting anything. So now it's basically a dance, a game to get this in. You have to line up the throttle body, you have to line up the hose that goes into the turbo. You got to make sure it's not smashing up against your new turbo down here, because it's touching right across there while you're trying to get this into place. And then you also have to make sure this bracket down here isn't rubbing against the side, because right now I can't get it down because the side of this is too big. So it's just a dance. You got to make sure that hose gets in, that hose gets in. Once those two are in place, this thing should just perfectly come right where it should. But until then, it's just a lot of wiggling and minor adjustments until you get into place. All right, guys, fast forward to the future, which it is now. I noticed that I could not do this. And in fact, you actually need a new elbow if you're gonna have this work at all. If you're doing the new giant intercooler with a car that's not supposed to have one, you need to have a larger elbow. So you can either get the Grimspeed one, or you can get the Mishimoto. The Mishimoto one is the exact same thing. except way cheaper. I don't know why Grimspeed is so expensive. You can get the elbow and the coupler from Grimspeed, so this piece and the elbow down there for 65 bucks. I got this one by itself for maybe $10, and then I got a separate one, this coupler, because why not, from Turbo Smart. That was on Amazon, really highly rated. People used it for the exact same situation I'm using right now. So I'll link those down below if you guys need them, but those are what's going on. All right, I've got everything all mocked up now. I've got the elbow down here, the coupler. I've even got the bracket right here in place. Now I just need to tighten those up and put that into place and tighten all these hose clamps up, and then I can finish this up and I will be done. And of course, cannot forget about the blow pass, bypass, blow off, whatever you want to call it, valve up here. Make sure you get a new gasket. Of course, I'll link it down below. I got this one off Amazon, I believe, so yeah, got to put that on too. If you're doing this swap like I am here, you're gonna have to get some of your own bolts that go through here, because before, on the original intercooler for the Forester, they actually have little threaded pieces that come out, and it's just nuts that screw onto it. Here, you actually have to get a bolt and screw it in. I don't know 100%. I got these from a hardware store. They're like a M10 times 1.25 or something like that. But you can also get these at like AutoZone. They actually have the specific kind, the heads that have the little washer attachment like that. Something that looks like this that would fit in there. But whatever you want to do, or if you have spares laying around that'll actually thread into here, you are going to have to get those if you're doing the swap. And yes, I'm not going to forget about it. This terrible, terrible scoop. This is going to come off. This whole thing is going to make it so it's only filling up about this much. So this is going to come off until I can get a new splitter. And if you are taking it out, it's got little nubs here that go into each one of these little things. It kind of hooks it on there. I'm just going to leave this as it is until, like I said, until I get the new splitter and scoop to actually fit on this. But if I just keep this on, it's not going to make it any better. So that's going to be thrown off for now until I can get that, which should be pretty soon. Then of course there'll be another video on how to take out the scoop and put in an actual splitter that will at least somewhat fit this. Okay, so as much as I wanted to put this stock pipe that came with this intercooler, it's just not gonna work. This pipe here that goes into here, that I am going to take out for the oil can, the oil catch that I'm gonna put in, so that's not a problem. This one is pretty much the problem. It's not long enough. I could put an adapter in to hook it up there, and then this one over here, I could cut it. It doesn't have the bevel at the end. I could bend it a little bit to fit, but as of right now, I don't have any of the stuff for that. So it is doable, but a little modification, you can have that working. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram so you can get some behind the scenes stuff that hasn't happened yet and unreleased content that no one else has seen. And if you haven't already, watch that video. And if you watch that video, watch that video. And if you've watched both of those videos already, make sure you subscribe down here. Yeah, watch this stuff. It's awesome. And if you've watched that, and subscribe,